If you have eyes and ears, you've probably seen some of those articles and YouTubers talking about this stupid Russians smashing their heads against a strategically unimportant city in Ukraine.
Bakhmut is strategically irrelevant. Haha, Russian bozos attacking useless Bakhmut. Gains made in Bakhmut offer little operational benefit. Bakhmut is gay. Nobody cares about Bakhmut. Nobody loves you, Bakhmut. I wish I could think for myself.
I'm gonna tell you today why those people are just copium addicts. Some pro-Russians even say, why is Ukraine sacrificing so many troops holding this unimportant city, even risking encirclement? Now, why is Bakhmut strategically important? First of all, there is no city currently at the front lines that is nearly as important as Bakhmut. So which city the Russians could attack is more important that makes the move of capturing Bakhmut stupid and futile? None. Most importantly, Bakhmut has a railway hub. Copium addicts tend to say, the only thing Bakhmut is going for it is a railway. And first of all, that's untrue, but second of all, railway is the backbone of Russian logistics. And the Russian strategy in this war is completely based on their superior supply of logistics and the following ability to withstand and win an attritional fight. Attritional fight means the one with more material supplies and boom boom wins. And by railway, by train, you can bring amounts of heavy weapons and ammo as well as anything else in quantities that are multiple times of what is possible by truck and by road. A single train wagon can bring the same amount of supplies as a big truck, and an average train can carry 40 of those wagons. NATO generals that talk about the war have a tendency to not understand this because NATO armies don't use thousands of artillery shells per day for one city. NATO artillery is mostly used for particular point targets, and if they really want to destroy a whole area, then they just use planes with bombs. But the Russians' advantage in this war is that their army is built in a way that they have more inaccurate artillery, but they can shell the Ukrainians day and night, while the Ukrainians only hit specific target-rich environments. If the Ukrainians used as many shells as the Russians, they would be almost completely out of artillery ammunition by now. For Westerners unfamiliar with Russian warfare, this is inconceivable. But this is part of the reason why good railway logistics are indispensable for the Russian way of war. Bakhmut is also filled with quality roads for logistics, so whoever holds Bakhmut has a considerable logistical advantage, and this logistical advantage is how the Russians are trying to win this war. Furthermore, Bakhmut is the last fortress before the Slavyansk-Kramatorsk-Kostiantynivka line, the line of defensive positions that will decide who wins the war in the east of Ukraine. And with the large amount of supplies coming into Bakhmut, they can shell Kramatorsk and Slavyansk and Kostiantynivka non-stop. Even for the lowest ranged artillery, Kostiantynivka is an easy target for massed artillery fire. So, Bakhmut is the most important milestone in being able to destroy the most important defensive line. On the west of this major defensive line, there are barely any defensive positions you could put into the same league as Kramatorsk or Bakhmut. Some may say that there is still Seversk, but the reason you haven't really seen any relevant fighting around Seversk is because if the Russians capture Bakhmut and just continue their attack towards the Slavyansk-Kramatorsk line, Seversk will soon be cut off, especially because the Russians are also advancing towards Liman on the north of Seversk, which they lost in September to the Ukrainian counterattack. So, as you can see, Bakhmut is not so unimportant after all. That's also part of the reason why the Ukrainians are holding this city with anything they have. It's of course good for the Western propaganda to label this city as unimportant, so when this fortress falls eventually, it's just the Ukrainians leaving an unimportant city. But now you know, that's all just copium.